Hi, I am Kerry White. And I go to Evangel Church in Columbus, Georgia, and I am going to present to you the history, missions, and governments of the Assemblies of God Church. This is a fascinating study. Some of the things that I'm going to bring out to you today, I hope it encourages you. I hope it inspires you to reach out to learn more about some of the things that we will cover today. I will begin with the history and the origin of how we got to where we are today. The Assemblies of God originated at the very beginning from the holiness and Pentecostal revivals of the late 1800s and 1900s. They all accumulated in what we refer to as the Azusa Street revivals. So in the beginning, we start with the holiness revivals, and as you can see some of the pictures on the screen there, that these really started in the late 1800s, early 1900s. That some of these revivals were rooted in the Methodist roots with John Wesley and his movement and the Second Great Awakening. That these really spawned and set the stage for what we now refer to as Pentecostals. Before the early 1900s, no one referred to Pentecostals, and you'll see why here coming up in just a moment. But the holiness revivals occurred primarily um, because of the need for people to purify themselves. So kind of uh, a mission to be pure, to be holy, and through that we saw a lot of revivals throughout North America. Beginning in the early 1900s is where we, as Pentecostals, kind of get our name, starting with the Azusa Street Revival. This was the first groundbreaking event for the Pentecostal movement, and it was led by an African American preacher by the name of William J. Seymour, which I find wonderful to see how God used this mighty man of God to break into this century was something radically that has been missing from the church for a very long time. Um, Key highlights of this revival had to do with intense spiritual experiences like speaking in tongues, prophecies, numerous accounts of miracles. Miracles during this revival became common practice. Um, One of the really cool things about the miracles that happened in Azusa Street was the racial divide, or the multi ethnic divide, really went away. I mean, blacks and whites for the first time in American history were encouraged to worship together and seek God's face together. I recall some of my favorite stories of this era was that the members would lock themselves up into the attic of this church and pray for the fire of God to fall on them. And they would pray and pray and pray, just like they did at Pentecost, until the fire of God came. And when it came, oh my, it came with a mighty roar. Um, Oftentimes the fire department was called out to this place because passerbys would see fire coming from the top of the building. They thought the building was on fire. It got so common that the fire department told them, like, no, 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 we know what's going on there. It's not a fire. Because when the fire department, when they arrived at the place, they witnessed what was going on, but it wasn't fire. It was a spiritual fire that they saw, and people saw it as a literal flame, which was quite phenomenal. We're moving into kind of the progression. In 1914 was the first council of the Assembly of God was founded in Hot Springs, Arizona. It's really the birthplace of the Assemblies of God, where 300 church leaders from various states and various countries came together with one unifying notion that we need to unite to figure out how to spread the gospel to the rest of the world and how we can do that together instead of being isolated. There was a leader by the name of E.N. Bell. He was elected as the temporary chairman, and that's how everything began with a group of 300 people there you see in the picture. In 1916, the AG adopted the Statements of Fundamental Truths, and I love this. That the statement there was that It was not intended to ever to be a creed, but it was the basis of their fellowships, the basis of how they can unify under some basic common truths to spread the gospel. Quite amazing. There's other significant points. I need to move on because of time. But in the 1920s, they began publishing gospel, Sunday schools and Bible teaching. In the 40s, they allied with other evangelical associations to form a National Association of Evangelicals. The Women's Ministry Council was recognized in 1951, and from that time on, I mean, the Assemblies of God now is the world's largest Pentecostal fellowship with over 86 million adherents, with over 400,000 churches in over 179 nations. It really was the missions of the Assemblies of God was really focused on a fourfold approach: evangelizing, planting churches, training believers, and serving the poor. And they really funnel into these four categories. And I gave a sample of a couple of the missions that Assemblies of God has, which some of these I wasn't aware of, but I hope by spreading the word that everyone become more aware of what's going on with some of these. And last, some statistics of the missions that go out, and this is all great stuff, and for the sake of time, I'll keep moving on. The governance of the Assemblies of God, there's really three main models of governance. The Assemblies of God really funnel into the last two, the Congregational and Presbyterian models. It's a hybrid approach, meaning that they want the members of the church to be involved with the decisions, but sometimes they elect individuals, to give them authority to make decisions on their behalf. So this is a quick overview of the Assemblies of God. I do hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I hope I inspired you to dive in a little deeper to learn more about our history and how we are today and where we're going.